Patreon Q&A number 32. I want to thank all 79 of my amazing patrons as always, guys. Thank you so much for continuing to support me the way that you are. The dark times, they're continuing, but, things are, they're not too bad, and you guys certainly make it all the better and just so much easier for me. So I hope that this Q&A is good enough to give back for all that you have given to me. Also, everyone else listening, there's definitely going to be some spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully after this. GTiger798 asks, hey Zaddy, my question is, who do you think is going to win at UFC 237, Namajunas versus Andrade, and are you interested in women's MMA? And if it doesn't bother too much, what mangas, animes could you recommend if you have any? P.S. Who would win, Mob or Psychos? Mob not at 100%. Thanks for everything, dude. You the best. I hope it's okay for you that maybe I can ask this Q&A other questions. If not, then just answer the above. If so, do you keep up with the UFC or do you watch other organizations like ONE FC and Bellator? And just from the UFC, can you name every fighter from weight class your favorite and one thing why they are? Past or present, thank you for your hard work. And is it true that if you hit 50k that you will reveal yourself with a training montage? The training montage part was my idea, would be cool, I think. I hope it's okay. If not, then please just do the ones above. You the champ. Thank you for your continued patronage, G Tiger, and I'm sorry about the mix-up from last week. Won't happen again, my friend, so I appreciate you being so lenient with me. So let's get into this. Namajunas versus Andrade. I think this is going to be very similar to Andrade versus Jędrzejczyk. Yes, Andrade has been on a tear lately. I mean, she's probably at the peak of her career right now. This is the best she's ever been. And I think she's actually a betting favorite in this fight, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, if I was still betting on MMA, I would totally bet on Namajunas in this fight, if she is the underdog still. I just think it's going to play out the same way as that, because Andrade, she's just the moving forward power, striking type. But Namajunas, very similar to Jędrzejczyk, as where she just sits back and counters and uses footwork to evade and keep good distance management and control. And that seems like a big weakness for fighters like Andrade. And Namajunas is just, I guess, like the best at doing that right now, at least at strawweight. So I think it's going to be like a decision win for Namajunas from just being better at distance control and just landing the more shots, more volume, and evading all of Andrade's power. So the mangas and animes that I can recommend. So I'm not too into deep cuts and stuff like that. I'm more of a mainstream type of guy. So for some reason, if you're not following One Piece, I suggest you do that. Yes, it is a super hell of a grind to get to the present of One Piece. You have over 930 chapters to go through, but dude, I swear to you, it is worth it. And everyone else listening, if you don't follow One Piece and you are a fan of battle manga or shonen, you gotta get on this One Piece game. Oda, as many flaws as he has with this series, he's still killing it. Like, even after 900 chapters, it is still, like, number one for a reason. I just love it so much. And there's so much fluff and filler to it. I mean, not like non-canon filler, just added padding to the story to, make it longer. And that's one of the unfortunate aspects of it, but, man, when it hits hard. Like One Punch Man and My Hero and all those shows, they're great, but One Piece is truly something special. So I can't recommend One Piece enough. Other than that, My Hero is fantastic. It's in its best arc in the series right now. Check that out. And then, if you want a deep cut, here you go, Guyver. Guyver's, a little esoteric in the anime community. It was more prevalent, back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So now it's kind of just, has, a real niche fan base. But Guyver is so much fun. It has a very interesting story, great mythology to it. It has a real cool character dynamic between the big three main characters. So they've got the main character, and then they've got the Sasuke type rival, and then there's a third one named Aptum, and he kind of reminds me of Garo. He's kind of like that character, anti-villain, anti-hero, but just really likable and cool and not weak at all. Man, and all of the villains in the series are super interesting in their own light. The Guyver manga is very long as well, and the creator of it goes on hiatuses similar to how Miura does with Berserk, and Togashi as well with Hunter x Hunter. So it's one of those things. So don't expect it to have consistent releases, but man, it's a great series, and I think it's really underrated. So Mob versus Psychos. So I think Mob is going to have a really hard time here if he's not going 100%. Like, yeah, for sure, he is super powerful. We have seen, regardless of him going to 100%. But now that we know that Psychos, aka Gyoro Gyoro, is going to be using powers that's like capable of sending 300 times gravity at you, because we saw her just do that in the latest chapter, chapter 107, when we saw Gyoro Gyoro go against Tatsumaki. And this was just meat puppet Gyoro Gyoro using that. So I'm assuming that Psychos just not having to control Gyoro Gyoro could be even stronger than that. And this is crazy. This, like, if Psychos using like this type of power was in Mob, she would totally be at the top of the power scale, in my opinion, like up there with like Claw Boss and stuff like that. Just my opinion, of course, that might be controversial, but I think Psychos would win. But if Mob were to use 100%, I think maybe he could win at that point. Like, he would probably most likely defeat Psychos at 100%, considering that Tatsumaki, you know, dispatched of Psychos pretty easily, aside from her weaknesses getting exposed. And we know that, or at least some of us know that One, the creator of both Mob Psycho and One Punch Man, said that Tatsumaki and Mob at 100%, he's unsure who would win that. So I guess they're relative in power, at least. So what else we got? Oh, Fighter. Yeah, I do watch all of the mainstream MMA organizations. Now, I don't always get the chance to like sit down and watch the full event, but if I don't, I'll definitely check up on the highlights, and I'll read forums and stuff, and I'll see what's going on. I try to keep my finger as close to the pulse in MMA, like all aspects of it, like ONE FC, Bellator, UFC. I love them all. Bellator actually had a pretty interesting event last night, but it's unfortunate because they're like on the DAZN channel, so it's really hard for people to watch it now because you got to like pay for it, and it's kind of bullshit because who's gonna pay for, DAZN? Nobody cares. Just make it free. But so my favorite fighters from my the weight classes in the UFC. So heavyweight, all time, definitely Uberim. This was Alistair Overeem in his prime when he was on all kinds of gear. He was hulked up, crazy powerful, and he was really skillful too, like truly frightening the individual that he had become at that time. Like the work that he did in K1 was insane, like just nearly killing dudes just from kneeing them in the head and punching them and stuff. And then when he came to MMA, in his Uberim form, he was just wrecking everyone. Like, no one had a chance against him. Like, if you were able to see his fight against Brock Lesnar in 2011, like, truly scary stuff. Like, to make a guy like Brock Lesnar, like, look the way that he did is really telling. Regardless of how you feel about Lesnar in MMA, he's still not a chump to anyone. Like, he can wreck anyone on any given day, given the right amount of gear that he has, of course. But Uberim, totally my favorite heavyweight. I gotta get through this quick because this question's running long. Sorry to everyone listening, but all right. So light heavyweight, my favorite is Prime Shogun in Pride. He was insane. Yes, he was on gear. It doesn't matter. Everyone was, and I'm not a big person against gear. I think if you're gonna use gear, go ahead and use it. Just don't get caught. Shogun was insane in Pride in his prime before all of his injuries and before his body broke down on him. He would just do crazy stuff. Yes, his wrestling was weak, but he still was incredible to watch. Middleweight right now, I'm loving Israel Adesanya. He's definitely probably my favorite fighter in MMA right now. I'm really liking that guy. I follow his social media. He's a pretty interesting cat on there. Welterweight, gotta give it to my boy George St. Pierre. I love him. I've followed him since before he was the champion, all the way through his whole career. I've read his book. He is truly just a great person. Like, very, very interesting too. Probably the greatest fighter of all time, considering that he hasn't failed a drug test. So that alone puts him right up there. What do we got? Lightweight. My favorite lightweight is BJ Penn, for sure. Loved BJ in his prime. I was lucky enough to see him live at UFC 101 when he fought Kenny Florian. And there's all kind of like stipulations and accusations going around at BJ Penn right now. So his career is likely going to be destroyed after everything is revealed about him, similar to how like Cosby was, which is unfortunate. But I try to separate the artist from the art here, and he was truly incredible in his prime. Man, it's so awesome watching him. Featherweight, definitely Jose Aldo. I love that guy. He has such an interesting story, like rags to riches, just rags to being like one of the greatest fighters ever. It's really unfortunate that he had his fall from grace, but he had his time and it was awesome. Bantamweight, Dominic Cruz, love him. His style's incredible. He changed the game single-handedly. And then flyweight, I don't know. Maybe Dude, I have no idea. I'm not really too much into flyweight. I respect all the fighters and I like them, but none of them are really that interesting to me. I mean, DJ, he's amazing, of course, and Cejudo is cool too, but I don't know. It's really whoever. But yeah, I'm not going to do the face reveal at 50K. I'm actually going to do it in 2 months. So around the end of season 2 of One Punch Man, I'm going to do the face reveal, and then I'm going to try to do videos with just me filming myself, because that makes everything so much easier with, you know, the whole copyright stuff. And I'm really trying to avoid that because YouTube is going into this new era where or should I say, fair use is dead. That is just the case. So like even Nux Taku, I'm sure all of you guys know him, he recently received 2 copyright strikes just like I did. And he's a huge channel. So it's like everyone is going to go down eventually. So we need to, and if you're a content creator listening to this, we need to phase out of using copyrighted content because our channels will not be able to survive. YouTube is clearly taking the stance against this and they don't care. They're just siding with the companies. They don't care about fair use. So we need to adapt and survive. Otherwise, we're just going to die. But yeah. Face reveal in about 2 months, around the middle of June. Joseph K asks, hey Shonen, hope you had a good weekend. Who is your favorite villain in anime, besides from Gyoro, if you even count him as a villain? Mine's gotta be Dio from JoJo. I know you said you probably won't be able to watch it, at least for a long time, with all the other anime you want to catch up on, as well as being a full-time YouTuber work. But if you ever get the chance, you won't be disappointed. Peace, bro. Hey, thank you for your continued patronage, Joseph. I appreciate it so much, my friend. Yeah, Dio is amazing. I have seen part 3 of JoJo. That's the only part I've seen, and I loved it. Super fantastic. I completely understand why this series is held in such high regard. But randomly, I decided to read part 9 of JoJo, or part 8, whatever the recent one is. I wasn't really into it, but that's a whole nother can of worms for another time. But I totally do want to watch JoJo. I think I'm going to watch it after I watch Mob Psycho. And all of the patrons listening, we're going to be watching Mob Psycho from start to end for the next few weeks on the Sunday hangouts that I do. So look out for that if you're interested in rewatching Mob Psycho with me and whoever else decides to come by the hangout in my rabbit room. But my favorite villain in anime, man, there's so many great ones. I'll tell you right now, it's Shigaraki Tomura from My Hero. This current arc has expanded him so much, and he has grown so much as a character since the beginning, and I just love him, man. He is so great. He is a fantastic villain. They're rare. Villains like Tomura, right now at least in my opinion, they're pretty rare, and this arc just makes him all the more better. But other than him, I'm a big fan of Madara. Really like Madara. Honestly, I don't think he got enough time in Naruto. Even though he got plenty and so much build up, I feel that he should have had more time to, flesh himself out. Even though there's tons of it, I don't know, it just didn't feel like there was enough Madara. Especially by the time that he becomes the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, I kind of think he loses sight of himself and he becomes a different character kind of. But before that, Edo Madara and reincarnated Madara, even the Madara from back in the day when he was fighting Hashirama, he's just so cool, and he's just, you understand his motivation. You get where he's coming from. He's not just some mindless, everybody's got to die just cause, he's calculated, he's cool, relatable in a way. And, you don't have to be evil to relate to villains, but I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Very cool. But other than that, yeah, Aizen's pretty sweet too, but not as grounded as Madara is, in my opinion. Legandaryus asks, do you think that Nightmare Luffy will return in One Piece? I was thinking that Moria might go to Wano due to Blackbeard making him, or is he running from Blackbeard and thinks Luffy is the only person he can trust? I was just thinking that maybe Moria will help him defeat Kaido, since Kaido is really powerful and he needs to be defeated at the end of Wano. The second question for you, Shonen, is who do you think Garo will become awakened Garo by defeating Orochi instead of Golden S, and have Golden S help defeat Tornado instead? Or have another person, perhaps Bomb, since we have never seen him fight anyone? This is the next day, Shonen. Normally I would wait for the next post, but I just thought of this. That Saitama's powers work differently than we thought. He is still at infinite power, but he doesn't seem capable of controlling it, so I thought that maybe he controlled it subconsciously, and that is the reason his normal punch can kill a monster, but not a person. Also, it would explain why Gyoro lost to Saitama even after his immense growth. Saitama just subconsciously increased his power, so to Saitama he seemed weaker, but he did actually get stronger over time. But Saitama just became stronger by increasing his power accidentally. I think that Saitama also was growing stronger like Gyoro was during their fight, but more so that he was using the more power subconsciously while Gyoro was increasing slower than Saitama was. That is why at the end, Saitama was saying that he was getting weaker since the fight started. It wasn't because Gyoro was weaker, but that Saitama got stronger unconsciously. Hey, thank you for your continued patronage, Legandaryus. I appreciate it, my friend. And I'm assuming that you saw that new One Piece fan animation. I think it's called Kings Part 1, Kings Part 2. Check that video out on YouTube, guys, if you haven't seen it. Truly incredible. Shout out to the creators of it. I don't remember their name right now, but yeah, those guys are amazing. This actually happens in that, like in their iteration of this Luffy versus Kaido thing. Moria shows up and then makes Luffy Nightmare Luffy, and then he gets like golden hockey and starts fighting Kaido with it. I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think Moria is going to have too big of an impact on the upcoming story. I'm glad that he's back, and I'm glad that he's under Blackbeard. I like that Blackbeard's whole squad is being bolstered, and I really can't wait to see Kuzan come back and see if he is really going to ally himself with Blackbeard. We've only had hearsay about it at this point. We don't officially know if he is rolling with Blackbeard like that. I mean, maybe he'll help him out, but we don't know if he's going to stand side by side him on like the battlefield. But really looking forward to that. But yeah, I don't think Nightmare Luffy is coming back. It would be cool if he did, but I just don't think it really has a place in the story at this point. I think it was more of like a one-off thing, just something fun for like the Thriller Bark arc. But then again, I would totally be on board if he did come back. I just think that if Luffy is going to defeat Kaido, it's going to be with the help of Kid and Law, or at least I hope it is. But I'm kind of worried now because of the whole new unraveling of this hockey that he is developing. You know, with with that dude, the Flowers old guy, Yakuza boss, I forget his name. But the propulsion hockey, like the hockey that we saw Centauryu use to him, as well as like the admirals used when they deflected Luffy's attack on them at Marineford. He said that, yeah, I could use this to pierce Kaido's scales. So I guess that's how he's going to defeat him. But I just hope he has some help doing it, because, you know, there's so much going into this whole Kaido fight. And it's so much bigger than just Luffy individually. But, you know, we'll see what happens. I don't think Gyoro is going to become awakened by defeating Orochi. Unfortunately, I don't think Gyoro is going to fight Orochi again. I want him to, of course. I want to see the rematch. We all do. But just the way things are going and what Murata has said, don't think this is going to happen. I think Orochi is going to be killed by Tatsumaki after hurting her really badly. And then Murata himself has said on the live stream about a year ago, maybe a little more than that, he said specifically that Gyoro would transform again in his fight with Golden S. So it's definitely going to play out like that in the manga as well. But, you know, anything before that is up in the air. So it's very possible that he does run into Orochi again, but I just don't see things happening that way. As for your second question, everybody kind of has their own different take on the limiter. Some people think, like you do, that he has infinite power. I don't think that's the case, although let me just say that, you know, no one is correct. It has never been fully explained as to what is exactly going on with Saitama's power. We all have the same information to go off of, and we kind of just have to make up our minds off of that. What I think is going on is that Saitama has simply just removed the level cap on his power, meaning that he has the ability to just infinitely gain power, but he doesn't have infinite power, if that makes sense. Because if he did have infinite power, he would be doing like Zeno type stuff, like Zeno from Dragon Ball Super. Like, he could just wipe out universes in the blink of an eye because his power is infinite. He has no power, meaning that he is more powerful than everything in existence. At least that's what I assume it would be. I don't think that's the case. I think Saitama is simply the strongest in the world of One Punch Man, but that doesn't mean that no one else can become stronger than him. I always use this analogy, and I think it's applicable to what is going on. So let's say the level cap in the world of One Punch Man is like level 100. Like, if you get to that level, I don't know, you're like as strong as Boros, I suppose. Just for now, let's just say that. And then you can't go any further than that. Like, that's the cap. Saitama, through his training and everything that he did, removed that cap. So now Saitama could just go to level 101, level 102, and so on. So let's just say Saitama's at like level 5,000 right now, while everyone else is just stuck at 100 and below. I think that's what's going on with Saitama. So he can tap in to his power anywhere from like 1 to 5,000. So when he's fighting Awakened Gyoro, let's just say he uses like, I don't know, level 150 of his power, something like that. I don't think it's subconscious or unconscious. I think he's totally aware of what he's doing because he knows that Gyoro is a human, so therefore he doesn't want to kill him. Because like as soon as their fight starts, he's like, what are you doing, wearing a monster costume? I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he says something like that. He's like, you're pretty sweet. So like he doesn't want to kill Gyoro. And as for Gyoro becoming awakened, I think it is implied that Gyoro is removing his limiter at this point, because it is mentioned in his fight against Super Ally Darkshine. It's like Gyoro's limiter is beginning to break, but they never mention it again after that. So I assume that once he becomes awakened in his fight with Black S, that is the signifier of him removing his limiter, meaning that Gyoro might have progressed to like level 101 at that point. So that means he's already stronger than anyone else, but it doesn't mean he's automatically at level 5,000, because Saitama has continued to train every single day after limit removal. So that's why he continually gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And the whole thing about how Saitama said that he's getting weaker, well, it's not because he was actually becoming like weaker as a power level state. I mean, for sure, Gyoro is becoming crazy powerful at that point. Like when he starts transforming into the big hulking monsters, he's like approaching, I assume, disaster level god at that point. From what I'm taking away from this, Saitama says that he's weaker because he's throwing away all of his skill that he has. That's what made Gyoro so incredibly powerful. Rather than just his physical strength, his speed, and all that, it was his technique and skill that really made him super dangerous. So once he became the monster, he kind of just was like in a trance. He was like blacked out, and he was just like acting like a monster. You know, he wasn't being the skilled, tactful, mindful Gyoro that he normally is. So that's what I think what Saitama was trying to say here. He's like, you become weaker. You're not even using technique anymore. You're just a mindless beast. So I think this is what's going on. Let me just say again, it's up for anyone to decipher this however you want. If you think that Saitama has infinite power and he subconsciously and unconsciously can tap into it, that's fine. It's just as, it has just as much weight and to it as what anybody else's theory is at this point, until one decides to fully explain what's going on. Natedawg asks, what's up, bro? I watched Endgame a couple of days ago, and I'm still a mess with the death of some characters. Won't say who to avoid spoiling it. And I thought about how no one has died in One Punch Man yet. I think that death is a huge part of a story. Do you think anyone major will ever die in the story? I think it would be cool seeing a character sacrificing themselves. I love Bang, but if he had killed Elder Centipede and was also losing his life, that would have been so cool. Would you be surprised if the series ended with Saitama sacrificing himself to save the planet? It'd be shocked if a character ends up being an equal match to him, but it would be epic. Take it easy, bro. P.S. Ready for Metal Bat to kick some A. Hey, thank you for your continued patronage, Natedawg. I appreciate it, my friend. So yeah, man, Endgame like wrecked me emotionally. Like I was crying off and on throughout that whole movie. That doesn't mean it was bad or anything. Truly a remarkable movie, one-of-a-kind experience. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I know that it's hard to get tickets, but as soon as you can get the tickets, I suggest doing it. It's like an experience. Like you need to experience it. So I'm unsure if someone is going to die in this story. Just because if anyone was going to die, I think it would have happened by now. So I mean, unless one is really saving this, I'm not too sure if someone is going to die. I mean, I hope they do. I think it would be cool. I agree with you that death is a major part of storytelling and whatnot, but it just seems like one is really reluctant to let go of his characters. I mean, of course he's letting go of the monsters and stuff, but like the heroes and the humans and stuff, it just seems like he's really reluctant to do that because he loves them just as much as we do. I mean, they're his creations. So if anyone was going to die, it could have been Bang against Elder Centipede, or Bang in the Monster Association War. That would have been cool. Like if Homeless Emperor just killed him, it would have been tragic, but it would have made sense. I think Moon Rider could possibly die. Genos could possibly die. I mean, if he wants to have some, like, impact to the deaths. Like, if, I don't know, if somebody, like, I don't know, one of, like, the lesser pop... Like, if Pig God died, it wouldn't really be that impactful. I mean, all the Pig God stands out there, all 3 of them would be devastated by it, but other than that, I'm really not sure who's going to die, but I think it would help the story if somebody did, for sure. I honestly couldn't tell you where it could go. I mean, maybe Blast. Maybe Blast could die, like sacrificing himself or something. I don't think Saitama is going to sacrifice himself. I don't think that's where the story is headed for him. I don't even think he needs to sacrifice himself. I don't think he's ever going to be put in that kind of situation where he just can't punch his way out of it. But if somebody does, instead of Saitama, I think it would probably be Blast. I think that would be interesting because, you know, it's already established that Blast has already lived, like, the hero life. He's kind of in, like, the twilight of his career right now. So if he were to die, it would make sense. Petite Feet asks, if you could fight anyone living or dead, who would you pick and what would your strategy be? Thank you so much for your continued patronage, Petite Feet. I appreciate it so much. So if you would have asked me this question a few years ago, I would have given you, like, this real, like, in-depth answer. But right now, at this point in my life, I honestly don't want to fight anyone. Like, I don't know, I just don't feel that anymore. But for the sake of the question, I would like to fight Mike Tyson in his prime. So, of course, I'm not going to win. But I just want to experience what that power is like because, you know, it's arguably he's one of the hardest hitters of all time. Like, of all the humans that have ever existed. And I just want to know what that's like. Maybe I would wrestle him just for the fun of it because, you know, at that point he had no wrestling skill, no jiu-jitsu or anything. So, you know, he's susceptible to it. But I would just want to, you know, just see what getting punched by him is like. That might be weird, but I don't know. It's intriguing to me. Steven asks, Nakavai, dude? I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry if I messed it up. What are your favorite anime transformations? I think I like Mob's 100% the most. Also Naruto's Kyuubi modes, Kurama's Yoko mode, and Ultra Instinct Shaggy. Between Flashy Flash Genos and My Mess, Saitama's life is going to become a Jerry Springer episode. I wonder if Blast lives the way he does just to avoid that sort of thing. Take care, man. Thank you for your patronage, Steven. I appreciate it so much, bro. So, I like all of these transformations too, honestly. Like Mob's 100% and the question mark percent. All fantastic stuff. Really cool. Pretty original too. And same thing with Naruto's KCM. KCM 2 specifically. Really like it. One of the better designs of shonen protagonists, like end series power up. So cool, especially when he gets the Sage Chakra, the Six Paths Chakra in him, and he alters his form. Becomes even cooler. And then, of course, you know, I'm a stand for Yu Yu Hakusho, so Kurama is cool as well. And Ultra Instinct Shaggy, who doesn't like him? But other than that, I really like Boros's released form. Like when he takes his armor off and he goes into like that dark blue with the pink hair. Man, it's just one of the most aesthetically pleasing forms I've ever seen. It's just flawless from Murata here. Only like somebody like Murata is really capable of making something that like near perfect, in my opinion. But then Flashy Flash Genos and My Mask. Yeah, I'm really interested to see where all this goes. Like all of these characters are just standing over Saitama now. And now that we see Flashy Flash is kind of becoming obsessed with him, I'm just really curious to see where it's going with a My Mask too, because he's definitely going to have that dynamic with Saitama now, because he pretty much professed his love for him in chapter 106 or 107, or maybe before that, but around there. So it's going to be certainly interesting going forward. And we also have to remember, you know, we've got Forte, Butterfly DX, and Ronin Toden too. So we've got all of that too. It's going to certainly be interesting. Definitely akin to a Jerry Springer episode. Blast, maybe he doesn't like the limelight, like the attention that he gets, but I just feel like Blast is living the way that he does because he just, I don't know, maybe he enjoys being a hermit, something like that, or maybe he's hiding in plain sight, you know, could be bearded guy, could be the bearded worker. Wolf Pup ass, Ola Shonen, Wolfie here. Okay, first order of business, what is your favorite cereal and why? I like my chocolate Tony the Tiger cereal. I pour almond milk on it, the sweeter the better. Favorite commercial and why? I like this one, it's funny and cute at the same time. Take a look, tell me what you think. Do you have any favorite anime fan-made opening ending? Have you watched 91 Days the anime? If so, what'd you think? The opening is savage. My very last question. Let's say the Monster Association had one day off each week because Gyoro Gyoro says so. So on Nian Day off, he goes to the pet store to buy himself some goodies. It would be funny seeing him walk out of the store and turns around in the corner and both Watchdog Man and Overgrown Rover bumps into Nian and they start chasing him. So out of the blue, Nian tosses a big juicy steak. Also, do you think Watchdog Man could beat Overgrown Rover in a tug of war? Arigato, sensei. Hey, thank you for your continued support, patronage, and everything you do for me, Wolf Pup. You know I love you so much. So my favorite cereal, man, it's difficult because there's so many good ones. And if I just had to pick one, I suppose it would be Fruity Pebbles. I mean, you can't really go wrong with them. I mean, there's so many, like, esoteric cereals and real niche ones that I like, too. Like, for example, like, back in when Spider-Man first came out, they had like this crazy cereal for it that it was just perfect. It was kind of like Fruity Pebbles and Life cereal combined together. So I guess I just like that fruity kind of cereal. I mean, I like the chocolate ones too. I've never had the chocolate Tony the Tiger one, but it sounds pretty good. And yeah, I too rock the almond milk. I don't know, ever since I discovered almond milk a few years ago, I just haven't looked back on it. You know, it's a better health option, but the taste isn't really too different from regular milk. And my favorite commercial, well, I just saw the commercial for the Geico that you posted. That's a pretty funny commercial. I haven't seen that one. I hardly see any commercials anymore, you know, just because I'm basically on YouTube all the time, so I just see the ads they have on there. But my favorite commercial is the berries and cream one from Starburst. You know, it's like that, I don't even know what to describe this character as, like a Victorian-era prince from England or something. He's like, berries and cream, berries and cream. If you haven't seen it, just just type up berries and cream Starburst. It's hilarious. I don't even like Starburst, but I just bought them because that commercial is so hilarious. I don't have any favorite fan-made openings. I didn't even know this was a thing, honestly. So I haven't really seen any to have a favorite. But I did watch the 91 Days anime opening that you were talking about, and it does look pretty interesting. It reminds me of, like, Full Metal Alchemist, Death Note, with, like, noir a little bit mixed in. And the logo that they have for 91 Days, it reminded me of, like, The Godfather. I guess that's what they were going for, because it's, like, a crime genre anime. So that's pretty interesting stuff. I did enjoy the intro. It was pretty cool. Like, you know, it was, like, chilled. It wasn't like, boom, well, check this out, yeah, you know, it was streamlined in a way. So as for the final question, this whole scenario, I would love to see this in like a bonus chapter or something. And I always say that because you know, there's always such interesting ideas to go off of for bonus chapter material, but we're like not even really getting bonus chapters anymore. So it's kind of too bad, because we could have fun situations like Deanne going to the pet store and, you know, getting stuff, and then he runs over and Watchdog Man, and then they have the tug of war. I would love to see stuff like that. I mean, hell, even put it in an audiobook. But as for the tug of war between Watchdog Man and Overgrown Rover, right now, I'm going to have to say Overgrown Rover wins, just because if he doesn't, then that means Watchdog Man is, like, super crazy powerful. And we know that he is powerful. I mean, he completely wrecked Hero Hunter Garo, and he tears through monsters no problem, like, viciously. So that's indicative of his power, but we just haven't seen enough of him to say that he could out-muscle someone like Overgrown Rover, who has proven to be one of the strongest monsters ever in the series. So if Watchdog Man single-handedly was stronger than him, then it would mean Watchdog Man is like top 3 in the Hero Association, pretty much. My granny asks, yikes, Metal Knight is getting lots of information on Saitama. I'm sure he surveyed this fight with Tatsumaki, and now Shoulder Blade crushed too. Maybe cameras in the training ground. Also, as it turns out, my loving husband and your grandfather has severe erectile dysfunction, and apparently it's genetic, so be sure to look out for that, my sweet little Zhoni. Hey, thank you for your continued support and patronage, Granny. I appreciate it so much. I'm so lucky to have a granny like you. But as for Metal Knight getting a lot of information on Saitama, that is true. And now that you bring that up, it's like reminded me that this is an active storyline right now in the webcomic. And like, where is it going? Why isn't one going back to Metal Knight? I want to know what's going on with that. Like, Flash and Saitama, it's fine what they're doing now, but there's so much more important stuff to get to. Just, can we go to the Neo Heroes? Can we go to the Metal Knight stuff? Can we see what's going on with that? I think that's so much more interesting than Flashy Flash trying to make Saitama his student. That's just me, but yeah, I don't know where that's going with Metal Knight getting all of this information. I mean, of course, it seems like Metal Knight is going to become a big enemy, but, you know, how does that play into the Neo Heroes alleged civil war? And also, you know, the prospect of him showing the full might of his arsenal. I mean, I'm sure he's got some crazy Boros robot out there that could probably take on Saitama similar to how Awakened Gyoro did. Maybe even more than that. There's so many questions. And yeah, I'm sure he does have cameras in the training ground. And that actually could be a part of the storyline coming up. Like, maybe he learned something about Saitama, like an actual weakness that nobody else was aware of. That would be interesting. It would certainly make Saitama vulnerable for once, which is something the story has never touched on, other than like emotional and stuff like that, not from a battle aspect. And as for the erectile dysfunction, I'm sorry to hear that Grandpop. I'm sorry to hear that he has that. I don't think it affected me. I've never had that problem. I actually have the opposite of it, and I can assure you that some people can attest to that. But yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to Grandpop because there's ways around this. You don't have to live like this. You could do it without pills, and you could make your erectile not so dysfunctional. But yeah, that's a story for another time. Thanks again, Granny. Pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 79 of my amazing patrons. Guys, you're keeping me afloat in the dark times. I can't thank you enough. Seriously. Like, you guys mean the world to me. Anything I could do, just let me know, and I'll do it. Because I mean, I know that the Q&A isn't enough to give back, so if there's more that I could do for you guys, just let me know and I will do it. And if you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you want to be in next week's Q&A video, just check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to it. Also got a Discord on there. We do hangouts every Sunday. We watch stuff on my Rabbit channel. It's pretty fun. And then if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.